always give it just a couple seconds.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, this is Jonathan Harmon with the J. Harmon Home Team, powered by Keller Williams, with my friend Mary Esther Reed, Mayor Reed, and owner of the Learning Circle over here on Church Street. We're looking out right now, watching the traffic go by on Church Street.
Lots of traffic.
This is the first time I've been in this location. I was in your previous location. This place is enormous.
It is. I think a lot of people are surprised when they come in, and
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't realize that anybody can shop here. You don't have to be a teacher, and also that all of the product that we have for different things, whether it's for birthday gifts or if you teach Sunday school, whatever. So
Yeah.
lots of great things here at the Learning Circle.
There really is. I mean, homeschool parents, you know, if you just want to support your kid's classroom, I mean, or like you said, Sunday school teachers, whatever, or just have some educational stuff.
Yeah.
Flashcards, I'm sure there's tons of flashcards in here,
If you
right?
put up stuff at your business, we have a lot of businesses that come in that are looking to do bulletin boards or to recognize. We have realtors that come in that recognize with cutouts those that are doing a great job. We all want to be recognized in some way for something that we're doing good.
Who doesn't want a gold star?
Absolutely, no matter our age. Plenty of gold stars. Plenty of gold stars.
Love it. Now, do you guys? I'm just curious. Do you guys have like die cuts and stuff like that?
We do.
That
We have
people can
all.
use, or?
No, we don't have the die cut machine. We have them already cut out for you. So
Gotcha.
no work. Just come in by.
And no sliced fingers.
No sliced fingers.
That's good.
Right.
That's a good thing. So we were talking before turn this on. How long we've known each other, at least by proxy, right?
Yeah.
So my parents worked at Crosland Supply for years and years. And of course, your dad, what was officially Mr. Victory's role?
So a lot of people don't realize my mom was a Crosland. Her dad started Crosland Supply in Eagleville many, many years ago. And Dad started working there when he was in high school.
No way.
He sure did. And so they ended up dating. For a little while, Daddy said it was too far to drive to Eagleville all the way from Old Jefferson. So they dated a little bit in high school. Dad said too far to drive. And so quit dating, but dated again in college, and then ended up getting married. And Daddy actually got his degree in teaching.
Really?
And he did. And so Daddy Frank, who was Mom's dad, asked him to come on and work with my Uncle Frank. We called him Frankie, but my Uncle Frank there in Smyrna, and that's what Daddy did. And then stayed on there, ended up being president of Crosland's once my uncle passed away, and was there forever.
Yeah.
And so we were really concerned what would happen once we sold the store. You know, Daddy got up every morning at 3:30, and he still does. And what would he do on a daily basis? And I will tell you, he is busy every day with Mama, whether it's delivering Meals on Wheels or just doing what they want to do, which is what retirement's all about. Right.
Well, and we were also talking, you know, Smyrna, I think Smyrna, think of it as one of the biggest small towns that I've ever encountered, right? And there's certain pillars within Smyrna, and certainly your dad is one of those. You know, Crosland Supply as a business is one of those. The Omni Hut was one that very sadly is no longer with us, and several others. But I mean, your dad was one of the most impressive people I knew growing up, right? Yeah. And I tell people all the time, one of my small claims to fame is that I had one of my hats was on his wall. So, you know, his office was ringed with hats.
That's right.
And it was probably first grade, second grade. The fire department came and gave me one of those plastic fireman hats. And I wanted to give it to Mr. Victory. Yeah. And he stapled it up on the wall, and it hung over his file cabinet until he left the office. Yeah. So it had a nice layer of dust on it. Yeah. And
that's right.
It was awesome.
You know, one of the things the council strives really hard to do is, even though we're probably now over 50,000, we want you to feel that small town feel that we all felt growing up in Smyrna. I always tell people, you know, when we were 8,000 people when I was growing up, you knew everybody that passed you on the road. You probably even knew where they were going,
right?
You know, and we want people to feel that now. And I think that's one of the things that's such a big draw for Smyrna is you have so many options to shop and to eat and health care, but you still feel like when you go to those community events, that you know your neighbor.
Right.
And I think that's what we as a society want to feel, that we belong.
Absolutely.
And so
well,
we really
sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name.
That's right.
There's a reason that show was famous.
That's exactly right.
And I think one of the great things that Smyrna has always done, and it's certainly, if anything, it's increased this under your leadership, is have those opportunities, right? So between SIMA and all the various clubs, Lions Club, Rotary Club, etc., there's and the senior center, and I mean the list is endless. All these opportunities for people to plug in if you choose to be part of it.
That's right.
There's all kinds of chances for you to plug in. There's festivals and events, and I mean, good gracious, the SOAC. There's always something going on there, always.
And that was our goal with the SOAC. You know, it was probably one of the hardest things when I became mayor is choosing to close down the fitness center.
Sure.
We just didn't have the number of people that we wanted to see with that size of a space getting to utilize it.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we came up with the SOAC, I know there was a lot of people that were thinking it might not work and really wanted to see the fitness center back. But I think if you look at the number of people that we're reaching now with all of the programming that's done,
it's awesome.
It's a huge success,
yeah.
Huge success. So that's what we wanted to see more of in our Parks and Rec, not just organized sports, but programming going on. And Courtney and her team down there are doing a phenomenal job.
They are killing it. We do a weekend planner every week. And in that, you know, we always check the town's website.
Yep.
And there's usually one or two things every single weekend.
Yes.
And it's everything from a family campfire to parents' night out to,
yes.
I think there was like a Harry Potter thing.
There was Harry Potter.
Yeah.
We do Frozen. We do painting. I mean, it's just
always
something going on. And we always want to make it family oriented because, you know, I think we are all so busy now. I was talking with a friend the other day. You know, it used to be, if you were lucky, you went out to dinner on the weekends, maybe once a month, and it was usually Shoney's or, you know what I mean? And so, but now what we're finding is Ponderosa, that's right. But now what we're finding is you go out quite a bit during the week. You have activities all during the week, whether it's dance or bowling, or your kids are always involved. And so we want parents and kids to be able to spend time together, enjoying each other without being with their face in the phone.
Yeah. And just breathe, you know?
Just relax.
Just breathe.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
So I think it's wonderful what you guys are doing over there. So makes me proud.
Yep.
All right. So history about you.
History about me.
Yep.
Lived in Smyrna my entire life. I will be 48 this year, and got a degree in education at MTSU.
Mm-hmm.
Taught school, yes, that's right, go blue. Taught school at John Coleman and Smyrna Primary. Parker was born. I have a son that'll be 22 this year, and he's attending MTSU. Well, I know, can you believe
gracious.
it? So December of this year, he should be graduating. And loved teaching, loved my kids, but job shared the last couple of years, which was I worked 3 days one week, 2 days the next. Had a teacher that we taught in the same classroom, so they would do the same thing. Mm-hmm. Loved it, but decided that I wanted to get out of the classroom. And a company that actually sold kindergarten reading materials to our school system was looking for a rep. And so repped for them for a couple of years, and I was the state rep and then the national rep for them. At first, traveling all over is kind of cool. You're staying in hotels, but you know what? It is grueling. And as much as I loved doing it, I wanted to be home. I wanted to be involved in the community. Mm-hmm. So was looking for something, and the two teachers that started the Learning Circle, one had sold out to the other. And she and her husband were looking to sell. And so we kind of had talked about it for a while and couldn't come to an agreement. And then it was kind of odd because I was supposed to be at a conference and ended up deciding not to go. Last minute decided to go. Her husband's booth was beside me. You know what I mean? It's one of those God things. That's it.
Yep.
And so we talked and kind of talked a little bit more, came back, came to an agreement. I knew I wanted to stay in education. Education has always been so important to me and my family.
Sure.
And I wanted to stay in education. I just didn't want to be in the classroom anymore. And so when Parker was 5, I bought the Learning Circle. And we were over behind McAllister's, next to Hastings at the time, and was there until 2009. January of 2009, we moved over here on South Church and have been here ever since. So even though I'm not in the classroom, I still feel part of education. Once a teacher, always a teacher.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you today, last night and today, I was watching to see if we were going to be out of school. You know what I mean? You still get that excitement of...
I knew it was much ado about nothing.
Yes, that's right. That's the way it always goes.
I know.
It always goes, and teachers felt that way too. I saw a post this morning on Facebook that says, traffic was crazy today because of all the mad teachers driving. And I get it. I understand that feeling.
Yeah.
You get those 13 days here in Rutherford County, you want to use them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
Well, my dad's convinced that Nissan has a bubble over Rutherford County.
You're probably right.
Yeah.
You are probably right. So I've been doing this, got on the council in 2003, started off on the Parks Board and have been on the Parks Board ever since, but wanted to get involved and give back. And then was on there for a year and said, I really want to do a little bit more. So served on the council and was vice mayor, and then Tony Dover had to step down because of a job situation. And a lot of people don't realize the mayor's position is a part-time position.
Right.
So was doing that, became mayor, and have been mayor for 5 years now.
Has it been that long?
It has been that long.
Wow.
I know.
You love it?
Love it. Love it. There's nothing more satisfying than seeing a project from start to finish, whether it's the SOAC or whether it is the splash pad going up or a new road going up or seeing a business come into town. So many, the Jeff Koos Memorial was a huge one for us. So seeing things come into town that long after I'm gone from this earth,
they're going to be here.
They're going to be here and hopefully making a difference in somebody's life that is a member of the Smyrna community is so rewarding.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Rewarding. Yeah,
absolutely. So you brought up some different projects. Which one's your favorite?
Right now, Jeff Koos is kind of the near and dear to my heart. Only we put so much blood, sweat, and tears into that project, and it was one that I feel like the entire community got behind. It was funny because so many people said, "You won't be able to do it. $1 million can't do." And a very small portion, other than a very small portion, all of it came from Rutherford County and people seeing the need for it.
And it was a need, wasn't it?
It was that people needing to feel like they were honoring a hero, but the Blue Angels have been so important to all of us.
No doubt.
A lot of people don't realize the reason the air show came to be. There was a pilot that was a Blue Angel that crashed in California that was from the Middle Tennessee area. So Nashville decided to do an air show, and they closed down the Nashville airport and the Blue Angels flew. Well, they knew they couldn't do that year after year, so they asked Smyrna if they would be willing to host the air show. Couldn't do it the next year, but the very next year they did, and the Angels flew. And so I tell so many people, when the Blue Angels fly, the town kind of comes to a stop.
Oh, even when they're practicing.
Yes.
I've been driving and just about pick a street, and somebody, they're going to pull over, they're going to stop and look, they're going to get out, they're going to watch.
Yeah.
I remember it was a life moment for me when the crash happened.
Yes.
And I remember seeing the smoke plume. I remember, all of that, and I was just like, oh no.
Yeah.
That was a big deal.
It was huge.
It's a big deal, loss of life, but it's a big deal to the town of Smyrna.
It's what we were trying to raise money for. It didn't matter where I went. If I had the rendering of the memorial, wherever I was going through to meet with Deputy Governor and was going through security, and one of the state troopers that was there stopped me and he said, "I have to tell you, I worked the crash. I was out on the lake, got a phone call, needed to come in. Everywhere I went, that's what I heard. I've got to tell you." And they would tell me where they were, their connection, it was always something. We were actually out of the country at the time on a family vacation, and we were in Walmart, actually, in Mexico. And Britt, my mom, were inside, and Dad and my uncle were in the car, and Britt came out and knocked on the window, and he said, "An angel's gone down." And I was like, "Don't, that's not funny. Don't, don't pretend like that." And he goes, "No, I'm serious." And so immediately the phone started ringing from media wanting a quote and all that. But people at the resort were talking about it and their connection to the blues and,
Sure.
and all. So it's probably one of the most near and dear projects. And the patriotism that our community felt,
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just about Smyrna, it was about being an American.
Mm-hmm.
And feeling that, and the day of the dedication and his family and how they felt, but also seeing all of those military personnel that were there and how they felt about our community. And a lot of them that were here with the blues that day felt like they never could come back, that it was a place they didn't want to visit. And to see how our community turned out and the love that they felt.
Well, even the night of, I mean, I remember everybody was just like, well, the night of the crash.
Oh, yes.
Everybody in Smyrna, I mean, Facebook was blowing up, and it was all, it's one of those, like, I really want to do something. I really want to help. There's nothing you can do.
Right.
I mean, there's literally nothing you can do.
But
then they all just showed up at the park, and
Yeah.
it was, it was a moment.
It was. I would agree. So that right now is what I think our community is about.
Yeah.
It's about community member helping community member and wanting to be together. I always tell the story that, when somebody dies in your family, you want to gather with family. And that's what happened in Smyrna that night. Is we wanted to be together to talk about how that team and the military, what they mean to us.
Sure.
I think that's what we saw. And that's Britt's walk every night, because we live close behind there.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's funny, every night that he walks up there, he takes a picture of the memorial. And it brings such joy to see families or individuals. The other night he was there, and it must have been an ROTC ball or something, and he said a young man in a military ROTC uniform and the girl in her attire were up there, and it made me feel proud that other people feel how special that memorial is.
Yeah. Well, and I had a feeling that you would say something along those lines, but I think what makes it, and you said this, but what makes it even better is that it was not. So let me back up. So the rec park's awesome, right? Government funded, right? Built by the city, maintained by the city. Okay. And that's great. It's fantastic facility. That memorial, it belongs to the community.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's almost all community money.
It is.
Yes, Parks maintains it, but we bought it.
That's right. That's exactly
and
right.
it's, I don't know. I think that's a little extra special, right? Government is supposed to be of the people, and it is.
Right.
Absolutely.
Well, and a lot of people don't understand the importance of the memorial to me, where it's located. So the rec park's named after my granddad.
Mm-hmm.
But what a lot of people don't realize is the rec park was built when my dad was commissioner of Parks and Recreation. I vividly remember my granddad and my dad flying around with Mike Woods, looking at other places of what they wanted the park to look like. I can remember Daddy trying to choose, what did he want the outside of the concession and the stone going up, and Granddaddy talking about we need trees inside the park, because as teams are there for tournaments, they need somewhere for shade. And so being able to add something during my time to that park and seeing the memorial go up, Granddaddy would have been so proud.
Absolutely.
So to add something to that legacy is personally rewarding for me.
No doubt. No doubt. And your dad was commissioner for how long?
Oh my gosh.
Seemed like forever.
It seemed like forever, but what a lot of people don't realize is there was no permanent recreation staff. The recreation staff was the workers at Crosland Supply.
Yeah.
They would get out and rake the fields and pull the grass and do all that. But that's what community's about.
Yeah.
So
that's very cool.
Yeah.
So what's coming up?
Well, I think like everybody in Middle Tennessee, infrastructure is the big thing. Widening of Sam Ridley Parkway. We will have 6 lanes all the way from Interstate 24 all the way to Old Nashville Highway.
Wow.
Curb and gutter, which will be huge, be game changing. We'll be moving the light that is currently at Cedar Grove, which is at Logan's. We'll be moving it back to Potomac. There'll be a new road then that will connect over to Cedar Grove, over by Sonic and Cedar Grove School.
Gotcha.
So it'll take you there. We're also in the process of looking at extending Jeannie Lane. So think about the road that goes in front of Lowe's and behind Krispy Kreme, all that. That we're looking at connecting from Wolverine all the way over to Cedar Grove, which will give you a connection.
It's a bypass.
Yes,
yeah.
Which will be a connector all the way from Old Nashville Highway all the way over to Cedar Grove. So you could get technically all the way to Target without ever getting on Sam Ridley.
That's awesome.
So have that going on. Enon Springs Road West, which will take you all the way from Enon Springs all the way to the new schools on Rocky Fork Road. In the process of doing that, new ball fields out at Cedar Stone Park, which will be right across from Stewart's Creek on Morton Lane.
Oh, okay.
So that'll be huge.
That's been in the works for a little while.
It has been in the works for a little while. Kind of happened during the downturn, and just now gotten to where we're ready to get started on that. So hopefully by fall of this year, that'll be up and going. We are wanting to do all synthetic turf on all 4 fields, which will also be huge for tournaments and just for us to be able to do the upkeep. So lots of stuff.
Well, and another community-funded project, the all-inclusive playground.
Yes.
Looking at that.
We are. Rotary Club is, one of the things we try hard to do is partnerships. And partnerships with nonprofits, partnerships with SAMA, all sorts of things. And so the all-inclusive playground is something that I think we're all excited about, and something that Smyrna desperately needs.
It's going to be fantastic.
Right.
And again, that's just going to make that facility even better.
I agree.
So very excited about that. All right, so we talked about some of that. We got several people that have popped in and out. So.
Oh, there's Troy Arnold. Troy,
love Troy, right?
And
did you see his new truck?
I have seen his new truck, and I've seen Carmen's new step stool that goes with the truck. So yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Nobody ever thought he'd get a new truck.
Yeah, that's right.
That's pretty fantastic. Yeah. What do you think? And obviously there's several different layers here, but what is your philosophy role of government?
So many people think that what happens in Washington is what affects them on a daily basis. And for me, I think what happens at the local level is what affects you the most,
no doubt,
on a daily basis. And so many people don't realize what the difference is. For a local official, one of the most frustrating things is when we are regulated by state and federal, and they pass down mandates that are unfunded that we have to abide by. The other thing is, a lot of times, we at the local level know what's best for our community.
And it's not the same.
And
Smyrna
it's not
is not
the same.
As Murfreesboro.
It's not. And so locally, that's where I feel like individuals can make the biggest difference in getting involved in what's going on in their community by serving on the board. But what is my biggest role? My biggest role is being the voice for the 50,000 people that I represent. Now, it might not mean if you live in the town and you want something that's always what's going to happen.
Sure.
And it might not even be something that I want to see happen. Sometimes we have to look at the big picture and make a decision for the community as a whole. It is our job, a lot of people don't realize this as a council, it's our job to set policy. It is the role of our town manager for day-to-day operations. I have nothing to do with day-to-day operations of what takes place.
So it wasn't your fault that my open house sign got picked up.
That's exactly right. It wasn't my fault. Now, but it was our fault in that we were hearing from people all over the city that they're tired of the town looking trashy.
Sure.
And so what happens is, yes, y'all may put them out on Friday night or Saturday and pick them up by Monday morning. But what happens when the mattress store and the restaurant and the doctor's office all wants to do that too? How do we feel about the weekends, our whole town looking awful? Now, you can put those signs on private property just not in the right of way.
Right.
So those are the sorts of things, but day-to-day operations are done by our town manager, which is Brian Hercules, who's new to the town since September, but
not new to the area, though.
Not new to the area at all, and he's a perfect fit. So many people don't realize he's a great guy, but with economic development, and then he was with Atmos Energy. He understands nonprofits because he was with United Way. So he's worn so many hats that all fit perfectly into the town manager role. But state government is so important for us to have a relationship with our local officials, and it's not just the votes they make. We, on a daily basis as a town, are dealing with TDOT and TDEC and all of the different departments at the state, economic development. Our legislators have to have a good relationship with them, because if they don't, when those departments see them come in, they're like, oh, here they come again, or, hey, I really want to help them get something done.
Well, and I think that's where understanding a give and take in government, right? So all they're going to do is ask me for something. All they're going to do is lobby me for something. You know, what are they going to, how do they also support the rest of the agenda? And it's not, you know, tit for tat, right? It's not, I'll give you this, I'll give you that. It's, do you support the overall picture? Do we have a similar mission?
Right. And that's something we're working really hard in doing, is bringing all the legislators together to say, okay, look, this is what our goal is in the town of Smyrna. This is what we're working towards, and this is where we need your help. And being able to pick up the phone and call them. You know, I don't care what business you're in. I don't care if you sell educational supplies, you're a realtor, you're a doctor, whatever. It's all about relationships and communication. And that's what we all have to do better, is communicating what we're trying to do. And I might not always agree with you, but at least maybe you understand where I'm coming from.
Sure.
So that's, as a council, that's something we are really trying to do, is build better relationships with people at the local, the state, the federal level, but also with our municipalities here in the county.
Sure.
I think so many times the media tries to pit us against each other. Oh, they got this. How do you feel about that? You know what? When Murfreesboro is prospering, Rutherford County's prospering, so is Smyrna.
That's right.
So I may be a little jealous that they've gotten something, but it means good things for our community.
Right.
So we like.
Do we have to like Laverne? I mean, I'm a Smyrna High graduate.
I know,
do I
it's
have
tough.
to?
It's tough. It's tough.
I mean, the town is good, but I don't have to like
right.
the school, right?
That's right. That's right. Well, I will tell you, you know what? Rutherford County governments all work really well together. And one of the things Brian did is, when Brian came in, he started trying to get together with all of the town managers or deputy mayors to start talking about, okay, what's going on in your community? What can we do to help each other? And it is. And I talked to Bill Ketchern the other day. As mayors, we're all going to try to do that. We do that on a monthly basis with the Mayor's Caucus in Nashville.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. I know you guys have had a lot of conversation about infrastructure specifically, and mass transit is, you know, it's a huge thing in our area. Anything you can, any little juicy morsel you can throw our way?
You know, one of the big things that we're working on now, so Mayor's Caucus is all of the mayors in Middle Tennessee get together on a quarterly basis. We get together on a monthly basis for GNRC, Greater National Regional Council, and then for MPO. And so we always try to pick topics that are the most important to the Middle Tennessee area. So obviously transit is one. Even though the referendum in Nashville was turned down, it's still something we're talking about. And how do we move people from Rutherford County to Nashville?
Well, in every county surrounding.
3 hours. That's right.
Yeah.
So one of the big things that's going on now is the ITS, the Intelligent Transportation System, which is going to, all the way from Murfreesboro to Nashville, have the lights talking to each other. Also having transportation people there. So if there's a wreck on the interstate, we're going to have more of the information boards. You know, you need to exit here, and then you can get back on here. In regards to going off of 24 onto Murfreesboro Road. So we're in the process of working on that. The next big thing we're talking about is trash. I mean, what are we going to do? It's a huge deal. And it's not just a Rutherford County problem. So we're actually going to be traveling to California to look at Republic's composting and recycling facility and what are they doing there. We just traveled to severe county to look at the one that Dollywood had done. So we're looking at options and what do we need to do as Rutherford County, what do we need to do here? But we're also looking at it on a regional level.
Sure. You know, I've driven past the Middle Point several times recently, and I don't know, my emotions about it have changed. Like I look at it now and it's almost an embarrassment to me, you know, like that, man, we've generated literally tons and tons and thousands and hundreds of thousands.
But a lot of people think that that is owned by Rutherford County, and it's not. Mm-hmm. And so we can't dictate to them who they can and can't accept trash from.
And they come from all over.
They come from all over. And what is received from Rutherford County is such a small percentage. Mm-hmm. And so we have to look at other options. I will tell you, we're looking with them at options so that the county doesn't have to take it on. The county used to own their own landfill, and we don't own it to take in anymore. So, so that's kind of some of the things that we're looking at. Town of Smyrna is also getting ready to expand our wastewater treatment plant. You know, when you bring in this many new people and this many new businesses, you have to look at infrastructure, not only in roads, but water plant, wastewater,
everything.
Sorts of everything.
Yeah,
everything. So we're in the process of doing that too.
Oh, very cool.
Yep.
Well.
Oh, look, there's Mary Elizabeth.
Hi, Mary Elizabeth.
It's all and your dad, all the old Crosland group.
I know it. I know it. Yeah, Troy, all of them. Yeah. What else? What else do I need to know about you? What else do they need to know about you?
Oh, you know, I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
What's your favorite color?
Black, because it's always slimming looking for women. So most of my closet is all in black. But huge supporter of MTSU. Yep. I think sometimes people forget the balance that we all have to do as a mom, as a wife, as a business owner, as someone in government. And I think we all try to do all of it really well, and it's just a balancing act for all of us.
It is.
But I have a real passion for my community. I have a real passion for teachers.
Yeah.
You know.
But you were a teacher.
I was a teacher. My mom.
Your dad's got a degree in teaching.
Yes. So, but you know what? I was reading something the other day. Every profession is affected by a teacher.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? They could not be where they were without a teacher. And it's so sad to me that teachers are not put on a pedestal like, you know, our pro athletes or our actors. Or I was speaking at Stewart's Creek the other night to the football coach is retiring. And I told the kids, I said, when I was sitting in your spot 30 years ago, because my 30-year reunion's coming up, I said, I thought the people that made the biggest difference in the world were ones that filled stadiums, were ones that, you know, had all the zeros behind their chest.
Sure, the marquees.
That's right.
Right.
And that's not what it's about.
Because they didn't even get there.
That's right. You know, and so it's about somebody that makes an impact on your life. And so many times, good or bad, that's a teacher.
Yeah.
You choose not to do something or interact in a certain way with somebody because something a teacher said or did. But most of the time, it's that teacher you remember of something they said, of something they did, of some project you did with them that made a difference in your life. And I listen to teachers come in here on a daily basis and the love they have for the kids in their classroom, and then the frustration they feel from individuals affecting their daily lives and how they interact with kids, and they've never been a teacher.
Right. They're removed and they look at it as if it's a problem to solve.
Yes.
And really the biggest problem is that you're not letting them
do their job.
Yeah.
Do their job.
I agree.
How many other professions do legislators say this is the way it's going to be?
And blanket, right? I mean, like not just here's some regulations for you,
right?
But literally.
But then provide no funding. Don't get me wrong. I love it when teachers come in and spend their money, but it's so sad to me to see teachers spending $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a year on supplies so that they can make our kids better.
Yeah.
And so it's sad to me. It's so sad.
So what are Rutherford County schools doing right?
Oh, there's so many things Rutherford County schools
We always
are
hear the
doing
negative,
right.
right? So
Right.
what are we doing right?
You know, the love that these teachers have for our kids, whether it's making sure they're fed on the weekends. So many of our kids go home to a bad situation. And, you know, I always say teachers spend more time during the school year with our kids than we do.
For sure.
For the waking
I would
hours.
say awake,
For the
sure.
waking hours, they are the mom or dad, they're the doctor, they're the one that breaks up the arguments. They're the ones teaching our kids not only stuff in the books, but the values that our kids have. And let me tell you, we've got great teachers. I know that there's always a bad seed in every profession, but as a whole, they're doing such a great job.
Well, and you know, you're an MTSU grad, I'm an MTSU grad. MTSU cranks out a lot of teachers, and they do a phenomenal job with it.
They do.
So we have a fantastic pool to pull from, and the majority of them want to stay here because it's a great place to live. So I think you're right. It starts with the teachers and it ends with the teachers, and we've got a great pool. You know, people don't really realize just how valuable MTSU is, and I'm on the alumni board, the National Alumni Board, and they posted a thing, True Blue Impact, not too long ago, and it talked about just the economic impact of their graduates from Middle, and I mean, people just don't. It's almost stigmatized, right? MTSU is like, oh, well, if I can't get in somewhere else. Well, do you know that since Dr. McPhee has been there, that they've raised their admission standards twice?
Right.
And it's one of the hardest schools admission standard-wise in the state to get into, behind Vanderbilt, and that's about it, and some of the other private schools.
And most of the graduates stay in this area. I want to say it's within a 90-mile radius.
Yeah, it's I forget the exact percentage, but it was 70+%.
But you look at the aerospace program. I mean, there's so many programs that are nationally recognized. Concrete management. I mean, so many are where the place you want to be if you want to be in one of the top universities. So I do think because it's right here in our own backyard, we forget what a jewel it is. It's kind of the same thing with Motlow and Smyrna.
Absolutely.
I mean, growing like crazy.
That place is nuts.
Yes, it is. So, and then the TCAT facility that we have, that's a great public-private partnership. And if you've not been in, I highly recommend you go ask for a tour. I mean, it is. And you know what? That's one thing I think we're getting back to it. Not everybody has to go get a 4-year degree.
I agree.
That is not necessarily what everybody needs. And I think the TCAT facilities across the state are something that are unbelievable.
I taught high school seniors for the most part, and I would tell them, and this wasn't always popular with the parents, but it's true. I would tell them, because I got a lot of kids that if they went to college, they just weren't gonna, it just wasn't gonna happen. But we tell kids, in order to be successful, you have to go to college. And that's just plain false.
Right.
I mean, it is just not true. I don't know if you know Earl Chandler, but Earl's my plumber. And I've asked Earl before, and Earl's getting on up there in years. And I've asked him, you know, what are you going to do when you retire? What am I going to do when you retire?
Right.
You're not training a replacement.
Right.
And he said, there's nobody that wants to do that, because for the most part, people kind of look down on that plumber. Well, I'm just going to tell you, a good plumber makes a lot of money.
I agree.
And when there aren't any, we're all going to be in trouble.
Right.
You
well,
know?
It's funny. Governor Lee that's one of his big pushes now, because exactly what you're talking about. He came up with his own training, mentorship in his own company, because he found the same thing. And I think if you talk to some of these people out in the community that have a skilled trade, they're finding the same thing. So I think people are beginning to understand that. And I know when I was in school, they had vocational education. And so we're starting to see it become
And it's still
popular.
there. And now you start to see those pathways and all the things that, I mean, you can come out of high school with a really good basic understanding. And that's what I would tell my kids is, you don't have to go to college, but you got to learn something.
That's right. I agree.
So, very good.
Options.
All right. Well, this has been good. Wayne Blair says hi. Mary Elizabeth says hi.
Yesterday, so it's good to see those individuals.
Yes, for sure. And if you enjoyed this, share it. We'd like to get some more people understanding our mayor, and I'm sure you're open to
I'm always
talking.
open to talk, or I have so many people that send me Facebook messages asking questions about what's coming to, the biggest question right now is Denny's coming to the Old Shoney's. It is not Denny's coming to the Old Shoney's. What I'm hearing is it's a seafood restaurant. So many times, if it doesn't have to come before council, I might not know.
Yeah.
So, but I'm hearing a seafood restaurant is coming there. The old Jack in the Box is going to be.
I saw that. Shogun, I think it was called.
Yes.
Man, how long has that place been empty?
I know, a long time. But what I found out was that they had a lease with the people and were getting a nice sum. So it was not in their best interest to look for somebody else.
Has Miss Polly sold the?
I don't know. I did hear the other day that she was selling stuff out of there as mementos and things like that.
It just hurts my heart.
I know. The other day, matter of fact, I put a post out on Facebook, where's somewhere to get good egg rolls, because I was craving those egg rolls.
Oh man, it just hurts.
It does.
I don't even want to think about it.
Well, it's kind of a part of your childhood.
That's where we went for birthdays.
Birthdays, anniversaries.
My mom and dad's 25th anniversary was there.
So many people from out of town would say, "Oh, we're coming to the Omni Hut."
Yeah.
You know, it was just one of those staples.
Was it
in
56 years? Is that right?
I think it was maybe
56 or 57.
Yeah.
It didn't quite hit 60, I don't think.
Yeah, so quite a few.
Man, crazy. Well, thank you for watching. Thank you for talking with me. I appreciate you. Appreciate all you're doing.
Thanks.
And your family. Anyway, I could sing y'all's praises forever. So.
Well, community is important to us, and leaving somewhere a better place than when we got here is important to us. And I think there's so many people like that in the town of Smyrna and in Rutherford County, and we're all blessed to live in the community that we do.
100% agree.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again.
Thanks.
That's Jonathan Harmon with Mayor Reed, and hope you enjoy it. Have a great rest of the day.
I hope that